Hello, everyone. My name is William Smith. I am the author of Oil Rich, A Brief History of Guyana and Why the U.S. and China is Interested. If you haven't read the book, I encourage you to read it just to understand the dynamics of Guyana and why these two countries are interested. I'm a first-generation American. My family's from Guyana. I'm also a consultant for investors and businesses who want to do business in Guyana. I currently am also a college administrator. So I've always studied Guyana academically, studied the history and the economics dynamics of Guyana. Also, someone who just has family in Guyana. So I go back and forth, very aware of the dynamics. And so that's what I do with my passion is Guyana. I study this country. I have family from it. I love Guyana. And so I just try to educate people through my book, through my YouTube channel. And what I really want to talk about is the Guyana Natural Resource Fund. And this is very essential, especially with this election that's coming up this year in Guyana. The USA has a lot of interest in Guyana. If you look at their natural resource fund, it's being held in New York at the Federal Reserve Bank, which it makes sense when you think about the investment from Exxon, who holds 45% of the oil share, and Hess, who holds about 30% of the oil share, somewhere within that range if you look at the numbers. So if you think about all of the oil that has been discovered in Guyana, you have two U.S. companies that have, let's say, about 75% of the stake of oil. So when you look at where the money is being secured, it's being secured in the U.S. And that's even critical when we're looking at this next election coming up, because that means there will be some influence with the U.S. in this election as far as the candidate that's at stake. And as citizens, it's important that you know what is going on with the Natural Resource Fund, as far as who's managing it, all the levels of management within the funds, looking at who's over the Bank of Guyana, because that is the lifeline and the blood for the future of Guyana and Guyana's independence. You know, we talk about colonialism that was taking place in the late 1800s and 1900s, and you think about how that was more socially. Right now, we're looking at economic colonialism, because all of this is about the resources now. Instead of the colonialism being social, it's all focused on the resources, which tie into the economic blood of the country. So this person who's going to be the president of Guyana, it's important that they focus on the citizens' interests, because now many investors are coming into Guyana. I encourage you all who's listening to do your research on the new travel arrangements taking place. If you notice, there's been an uptick in JetBlue Airlines, American Airlines, Caribbean Air. And so you're seeing more destinations from people coming in with these flight agreements. And all that has to do with the economic boom in Guyana. So as I mentioned in one of my videos, I talked about the increased interest within the Panama Canal. Well, this next president will have to look into that, especially with the goods coming in from China. As I visit Guyana, I see more of these Chinese markets taking place and seeing that influence there. That cannot be something that it needs to be regulated, basically, because that's another way where the citizens of Guyana could also not benefit. And so we have this oil. We know Guyana's always been rich in minerals. And so people are coming to Guyana as a way for them to benefit economically. So now it's important for the citizens to demand certain provisions to ensure that they're not left out of some of this wealth that's coming in. And Guyana government can do that. The population of Guyana is less than 1 million people. So with all this oil money coming in, if done right, the people can really benefit. So this is where the citizens need to demand a certain amount of royalties paid to them monthly. Yes, the government was giving away 100,000 or 150,000 to their citizens, but if you do the math on that, that's less than $1,000 in US. The citizens should demand a little bit more. The citizens should demand a whole restructuring in the education system, especially at the primary levels. These are things that can be done by the citizens. And the reason why that's important, because it would also develop the Guyanese middle class. Because what Guyana does not want to happen is for the country to have the foreigners coming in living better than majority of the citizens. We know that that's happening in some places, but when you see that on a mass level, that's when we're really going to see some uprising. And so this can be done in a way with this oil money. And this is why I say this presidential election is very important in Guyana, because the citizens can demand a certain level of payout for who they vote for. So that's why you need to look into the Guyana Natural Resource Fund and see who's on the board of directors, the oversight committee, and the investment committee, because you have to see where this money is going and how this money from the oil is benefiting the people. But it takes the citizens to be knowledgeable of these dynamics. And with the internet, information age, and young people, it's possible. Because yes, the U.S. will be watching these elections because of the place that Guyana has when it comes to oil resources, and especially the way China is benefiting off of Guyana and how the Chinese government is bringing in goods through the Panama Canal. So if you think about these things that are being shared on my channel, it's just to inform and to educate, as a consultant for businesses that help them do their due diligence. I try to encourage them to do these things responsibly so the citizens can also benefit from the things that are taking place. So once again, I encourage everyone to really look at who's running for election to be the president of Guyana and how you can hold them accountable to ensure that there is benefits from this oil money going to the citizens. And so with that being said, I think about my visit and the price it costs to stay at the Marriott. There's no way that the average Guyanese citizen can stay at the Marriott Hotel. I want to say it was about maybe $700 a night. And then that's US dollars. And so if you think about that government payout of 150,000 Guyanese dollars, that would be your whole payout to stay one night at the Marriott. So there's something that's not adding up. And so I encourage the Guyanese citizen and even investors that are investing in Guyana to figure out a way how this oil money can benefit the citizens as well, because a good Guyanese middle class means good businesses from everyone else that's coming in trying to invest. And that's what keeps stability. And so Once again, my name is William Smith. I am the author of Oil Rich. I hope